Imagine driving past your local shopping plaza and seeing 6 stores closed in the same week. No lights, no sales, just empty windows. In 2025, over 15,000 retail stores across America are shutting down, wiping out more than $4.2 billion in local economic activity. Why is this happening so fast? And which states are being hit the hardest? From Rite Aid closing 178 stores in just one state to Macy's exiting entire regions, the retail crisis is real and growing. In this video, we're counting down the top 10 US states in crisis as big retailers cut back fast. And the numbers are wild. Number 10. Massachusetts. Massachusetts may be a tech and education powerhouse, but its retail scene is facing a major crisis in 2025. Once packed with shoppers browsing at Macy's, Big Lots, and Joann Fabrics, many commercial strips now resemble ghost towns. Over the past year, more than 175 stores across Massachusetts have either shut their doors or announced closures, and it's hitting wallets hard. TD Bank alone plans to close more than 20 branches, while Joann Fabrics, which operated over 30 locations statewide, is closing them all as part of a nationwide shutdown of 800 stores. Combine that with Macy's plan to shut down 66 underperforming locations, including key outlets in Massachusetts, and the impact becomes clear. In 2024, retail employment in Massachusetts hovered around 349,000 jobs. By mid-2025, that number dipped below 341,000, wiping out over 8,000 jobs in less than a year. That's nearly the entire population of a town like Amherst. And those jobs aren't just entry-level. Retail management positions, district supervisors, and logistics coordinators are disappearing too. In fact, the Massachusetts Department of Economic Development estimates $115 million in lost local economic activity just from retail closures in the first half of 2025. The ripple effect is huge. Commercial real estate is feeling the sting, with vacancy rates in suburban shopping plazas climbing from 6.2% to 11.7% in just 6 months. Rental prices for retail space dropped by 8.5%, forcing landlords to slash rates just to stay competitive. Meanwhile, big online players like Amazon and Walmart.com continue expanding. Amazon now controls nearly 48% of e-commerce traffic in the state, with sales exceeding $2.1 billion in Massachusetts alone. And here's the kicker. As physical stores vanish, so do local tax revenues. Some municipalities have already seen up to $12 million in lost tax income, hitting school budgets, infrastructure projects, and local services. For a state that prides itself on innovation and community, the retail collapse is more than an economic footnote. It's a cultural shift that's leaving Main Street behind. Number 9. New Jersey. New Jersey might be small in size, but when it comes to retail chaos in 2025, it's punching way above its weight. Once dotted with thriving malls like Garden State Plaza and bustling downtown strips from Newark to Cherry Hill, the Garden State is now watching its retail roots wither. In just the first 5 months of 2025, over 140 retail locations have closed across New Jersey, sending shockwaves through communities that relied on those businesses for jobs, foot traffic, and local revenue. One of the hardest hits? TD Bank, which has confirmed the closure of nearly 30 branches in the state, more than in any other single region. That's more than just ATMs going dark. It means thousands of customers rerouting their banking routines and hundreds of workers losing stable employment. Add in Forever 21's complete exit. Yes, all 354 US stores are gone, and Big Lots shutting down dozens of locations following its Chapter 11 bankruptcy. And you've got a shrinking retail map. Job loss, brutal. Between January and April 2025, New Jersey's retail sector lost an estimated 6,300 jobs, and analysts predict another 4,000 could vanish by year's end. That's equivalent to wiping out every retail worker in an entire city like Hoboken. And the money? Retail closures are expected to drain $128 million in consumer spending from local economies, according to state commerce projections. Meanwhile, commercial property owners are in crisis mode. Retail rental vacancies climbed from 7.5% to 13.2%, pushing leasing rates down by an average of $4.60 per square foot. A major loss when the average shopping plaza space used to lease for $32 per square foot in northern Jersey. Small businesses that depended on anchor stores like Kohl's and Macy's are feeling the burn too, watching customer traffic drop by as much as 38%. In a state with sky-high taxes and tight budgets, losing these retailers is more than inconvenient. It's economically devastating. For New Jersey, 2025 isn't just a tough retail year. It's a full-blown unraveling of the consumer economy. Number 8. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania knows what decline looks like. Once the king of coal and steel, the Keystone State is now enduring a modern version of economic decay, this time through vanishing retail. From Philadelphia to Pittsburgh, the once bustling aisles of major retailers like Rite Aid, Macy's, and Jo-Ann Fabrics are growing eerily quiet. By mid-2025, more than 160 retail stores have shuttered across the state, and many of those losses come from Rite Aid's restructuring, a company that was founded in Pennsylvania back in 1962. Rite Aid's collapse hits especially hard here. After filing Chapter 11, again, it's closing over 85 stores in Pennsylvania alone, wiping out thousands of jobs and shaking neighborhoods that relied on those pharmacies not just for medicine, but for daily essentials. In total, Pennsylvania has lost over 7,800 retail jobs since January, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That's more than the entire workforce of a city like Altoona. And we're not just talking about jobs. Commercial real estate analysts say retail vacancies in cities like Harrisburg and Erie have jumped from 5.9% to 12.1%, while leasing prices for mid-size anchor stores dropped by $3.80 per square foot, dragging down entire shopping centers with them. Small businesses in those plazas, nail salons, diners, local boutiques, are also closing shop due to lack of foot traffic. Pennsylvania's local economies are bleeding. State officials estimate that retail contraction will erase nearly $145 million from local tax revenue this year, money that was earmarked for public transit improvements, school districts, and community services. And here's a kicker. Macy's and Jo-Ann Fabrics closures are affecting university towns like State College, where these stores provided both student jobs and essential retail access for rural residents. While Pennsylvania is trying to push e-commerce logistics in cities like Allentown and Scranton, those gains aren't filling the growing retail void. The state's retail backbone is crumbling. And it's not just the storefronts that are disappearing, it's the economic heartbeat of local life. Number 7. Illinois. Illinois is watching its retail lifeblood dry up faster than Lake Michigan's shoreline during a heat wave. Once a crown jewel of American retail, this Midwestern giant is now facing a retail recession that's hitting every corner, from downtown Chicago to mid-sized cities like Peoria, Rockford, and Springfield. In 2025 alone, Illinois has seen close to 190 store closures, making it one of the hardest-hit states in the country. Let's start with Macy's. The retail giant recently confirmed that 6 of its Illinois locations will shutter by December, including a landmark store in downtown Chicago. Add to that Big Lots, which is closing over 20 stores statewide due to bankruptcy fallout. Jo-Ann Fabrics? Gone. Every single location across Illinois is set to close, putting thousands of employees out of work. And let's not forget Kohl's, which quietly pulled the plug on multiple low-performing locations in the suburbs. The job impact is massive. Over 9,200 retail jobs have been eliminated in Illinois between January and May 2025, according to the Illinois Department of Employment Security. To make it worse, retail spending in the state is projected to fall by $310 million as shoppers shift to online platforms or simply cut back amid inflation. Commercial real estate in Illinois is in freefall. Vacancy rates in shopping plazas have jumped from 8.6% to 14.9%, and average rents have dropped 22% year over year, now sitting at just $21.80 per square foot. Developers who once had waiting lists are now offering incentives just to attract tenants. Meanwhile, Amazon's fulfillment footprint in Illinois grew by 27%, capturing more than $4 billion in online retail sales across the state. And it's not just big chains that are struggling. Local businesses that relied on anchor store traffic, like family diners, dry cleaners, and bookshops, are folding up too. The retail collapse is draining city budgets, increasing unemployment claims, and hollowing out suburban communities. For Illinois, this isn't just about empty stores, it's about a vanishing way of life in America's heartland. Number 6. Michigan. In Michigan, the retail crisis feels personal. It's not just about empty stores, it's about communities unraveling one shuttered storefront at a time. From Detroit to Grand Rapids and small towns like Flint or Battle Creek, Michigan's retail collapse is hitting like a slow-moving economic blizzard. As of May 2025, the state has seen the closure of over 170 retail stores, and what's alarming is how fast it's accelerating. Start with Rite Aid. It's been brutal here. Michigan lost 12 Rite Aid locations, and each one took with it a pharmacy, grocery section, and at least 25 jobs per store. That's 300 jobs just from one brand. Combine that with Jo-Ann Fabric's full shutdown of its 35-plus Michigan stores, and Macy's cutting 5 locations, and you've got thousands of jobs gone in a flash. The Michigan Retailers Association estimates more than 7,800 retail jobs vanished statewide since January. What does that mean in dollars? It's projected that $215 million in lost sales tax revenue could hit Michigan's local and state budgets in 2025. Cities like Lansing and Kalamazoo are already freezing municipal projects due to lower-than-expected retail income. It gets worse. Vacancy rates in retail spaces have soared from 6.3% to 13.8%, and leasing prices are down by $5.10 per square foot in many areas. Landlords are practically begging businesses to stay, offering 3 to 6 months of free rent. Meanwhile, Amazon sales in Michigan grew by 29%, totaling over $2.5 billion, shifting spending out of local economies. And here's the emotional toll. Many of these stores, like Jo-Ann or Big Lots, weren't just shopping spots. They were part of daily life for families, seniors, and teens getting their first jobs. Now, they're memories behind locked glass doors. Michigan's retail economy isn't just shrinking. It's being replaced by digital checkout screens and Amazon delivery vans. In the Rust Belt, it's another layer of economic loss. And this time, the shelves are going quiet. Number 5. Ohio. Ohio's retail scene in 2025 looks like a yard sale that nobody showed up for. Known for its hardworking towns and factory-fed shopping strips, Ohio is now experiencing one of the most dramatic retail contractions in the Midwest. Since January, more than 150 retail stores have permanently closed across Ohio, slashing access to essential goods and eliminating thousands of jobs. And it's not just urban centers. Rural counties are suffering just as much. Let's talk specifics. Rite Aid, once a cornerstone in Ohio neighborhoods, has closed 15 locations statewide, eliminating about 375 jobs. Big Lots, headquartered in Columbus, didn't even spare its home turf, closing 18 Ohio stores, many in mid-sized cities like Dayton, Akron, and Youngstown. Then there's Jo-Ann Fabrics, with more than 30 closures, and Kohl's, which has quietly scaled back in key suburbs. Altogether, Ohio has lost over 8,600 retail jobs in the first 5 months of 2025. That's more than the total employment of some entire townships. Analysts estimate a $165 million drop in consumer spending, with $96 million of that tied directly to anchor store shutdowns. Commercial real estate has entered panic mode. Strip mall vacancies jumped from 7.8% to 14.2%, especially around cities like Toledo and Canton. Lease rates dropped by 21%, and new tenants are few and far between. Meanwhile, e-commerce continues to soar. Amazon alone raked in $3.1 billion in Ohio last year, up 31% year over year. And it's not just economic, there's a lifestyle shift happening. Residents now drive 10 to 20 miles farther to find stores that used to be around the corner. Seniors are especially impacted, relying more heavily on delivery services, which many can't afford. One county official in southeastern Ohio described it as a slow-motion collapse of daily life. Ohio's not new to economic reinvention, but 2025's retail breakdown is different. It's not about factories this time. It's about cash registers going silent and communities feeling more disconnected than ever. Number 4. Florida. You wouldn't expect Florida, the land of sun, surf, and shopping, to be on this list. But behind the palm trees and outlet malls, 2025 is shaping up to be one of the Sunshine State's worst retail years in decades. The numbers are jaw-dropping. Over 200 retail store closures statewide so far this year, hitting both tourist hubs and quiet suburbs alike. Start with Macy's, which has confirmed 7 Florida locations will shut down by fall. Rite Aid has also pulled out of 13 stores, primarily in South Florida, where high real estate costs and competition from CVS and Walgreens made staying open nearly impossible. Then you've got Joann Fabrics closing all 40+ of its Florida locations, and Big Lots waving goodbye to at least 22 stores, many of which served low to middle-income areas. The economic fallout? Massive. Florida has lost over 10,200 retail jobs since January, equal to the entire retail workforce in a city like Sarasota. The Florida Retail Federation projects $278 million in lost taxable sales for 2025, cutting into school funding, infrastructure repair, and emergency services. And here's something that hits hard. Tourist spending is down, too. Visitors who used to flock to malls and outlets are now shopping online or skipping retail altogether. Miami-Dade and Orange County reported a 15% decline in retail-related tourist spending, equating to $72 million less flowing through local cash registers. Commercial rent prices are in freefall. Retail lease rates dropped by 17%, and vacant stores are sitting for months. Even in places like Tampa and Orlando, where demand once outpaced supply. Meanwhile, Amazon sales in Florida climbed to over $6.8 billion, a nearly 34% jump from 2024. Florida's still flashy on the outside, but beneath the palm-lined highways, the retail ecosystem is crumbling. From retirees losing local pharmacies to beachtown boutiques closing for good, the Sunshine State is learning that paradise isn't immune to economic storms. Number 3. Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas, including the retail collapse of 2025. From the dusty streets of Lubbock to the glossy storefronts of Dallas and Houston, the Lone Star State is losing stores at a staggering pace. Texas, known for its booming economy and rapid growth, now finds itself grappling with over 240 store closures in the first half of 2025 alone. That's nearly one store shut down every 18 hours. Big Lots, struggling under bankruptcy, has shut down at least 26 Texas stores, many in lower-income areas like Waco, Killeen, and Corpus Christi. Joann Fabrics waved goodbye to over 50 locations, and Macy's dropped another 8 major Texas stores, including longtime anchors in Fort Worth and El Paso. Even Kohl's, a staple in suburban Texas, closed several locations quietly under the radar. These closures have wiped out more than 11,500 retail jobs, according to the Texas Workforce Commission. That's more than the total retail workforce of Galveston. And the financial blow? A projected $325 million in lost retail sales and tax revenue, slashing into local budgets already strained by rising property costs and infrastructure demands. It's not just about brick and mortar. E-commerce is booming. Amazon's Texas sales hit $8.2 billion in 2024 and are on track to grow by 36% this year. As more Texans click buy now, traditional stores struggle to stay relevant. Shopping centers that once thrived are now plagued by vacancy rates above 14%, with retail leasing prices in places like Austin and San Antonio dropping by 19%. What's more, many rural Texans are being left behind. Small towns that depended on 1 or 2 major retailers are now miles from essential goods. The Texas retail crisis isn't just urban, it's everywhere. And for a state that prides itself on independence and resilience, watching its retail backbone buckle is a serious gut punch. Number 2. New York. New York isn't just losing stores, it's losing retail at warp speed. In 2025, the Empire State has become ground zero for the most dramatic retail collapse in the country. The numbers? Unbelievable. Rite Aid alone is shutting down all 178 of its New York stores, including 18 on Long Island, following its second Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That's not a typo. Every single store in the state is gone. The job losses are catastrophic. More than 5,000 employees from Rite Aid alone have been displaced, and that's just one chain. Macy's is closing 9 major New York stores, including long-standing icons in Manhattan and the Bronx. Jo-Ann Fabrics, Big Lots, and Kohl's are also trimming their New York footprints aggressively, bringing total store closures across the state to over 260 in the first 5 months of 2025. Economically, the damage is staggering. New York's Department of Taxation reports that the state could lose up to $410 million in retail-related tax revenue this year. That's funding that supports everything from public transit to public schools. In areas like Buffalo and Rochester, retail vacancy rates are pushing past 15%, while rent prices have dropped 22%, marking a historic low. Even in the city that never sleeps, shopping districts are becoming eerily quiet. Manhattan's mid-tier retail sector has seen foot traffic drop by 39%, forcing landlords to cut deals or risk permanent vacancies. Online shopping has surged. Amazon's New York transactions hit $10.4 billion in 2024, and that figure's rising fast. The impact goes beyond economics. It's cultural. New York's corner pharmacies, downtown outlets, and family-run shops defined communities. Now they're disappearing in bulk, replaced by dark windows and space-available signs. Even high-end retail isn't immune. Several luxury stores in Soho and on Fifth Avenue are closing early due to falling revenue. The retail collapse in New York isn't just a trend, it's a transformation, and it's hitting harder than anyone expected. Number 1. California. California leads the nation in tech, entertainment, and now, retail closures. In 2025, the Golden State has become a retail graveyard, with more than 275 major store closures, the highest number of any U.S. state. From San Diego to Sacramento, stores are shutting down at a rate that's setting off alarms across the state's $3.9 trillion economy. Rite Aid, Jo-Ann Fabrics, Big Lots, Macy's, and Kohl's, they've all taken a step back from California. Rite Aid alone closed 35 stores, while Jo-Ann Fabrics pulled out of over 60 locations. Macy's shut down 10 stores, including flagships in San Francisco and Los Angeles. Total jobs lost? Over 14,000, roughly the equivalent of the entire retail workforce of a city like Burbank. That's only part of the story. According to the California Department of Tax and Fee Administration, retail tax revenue is expected to drop by over $450 million in 2025, hitting schools, transit systems, and community services. Shopping malls in suburban cities like Fresno and Riverside report retail vacancy rates nearing 16%, while leasing prices dropped by 24%, the sharpest plunge since 2008. Meanwhile, Amazon continues to surge, raking in over $12 billion in California e-commerce sales last year. As people shift to online, local economies are suffering. The retail apocalypse has even hit luxury markets. Rodeo Drive saw a 21% drop in luxury retail foot traffic this year alone. But here's what's truly unique. In California, even tourism isn't saving retail. International visitor shopping dropped by 32%, draining cash from iconic shopping streets like Union Square and the Grove. That translates to a projected $110 million loss in retail-related tourism revenue. The state may shine with tech and innovation, but its brick-and-mortar backbone is breaking. For California, the retail collapse isn't just economic, it's symbolic. The Golden State is learning that even sun-soaked success stories can cast long shadows when storefronts go dark.